You're listening to the Big Cast, your source for the latest in financial technology. Brought to you weekly by the Best Innovation Group, with your hosts, John Best and Glenn Sarvati.
Welcome to another edition of the Big Cast. My name is Glenn Sarvati on behalf of the Best Innovation Group, where we like to do cool things with financial technology. And we've got a fun one for you today. We're going to be playing some highlights from one of our CU Digital Town Halls that took place, not too long ago, celebrating the 10th anniversary of the Best Innovation Group, with segments related to AI and deepfakes and other exciting kind of stuff along those lines. We'll be getting to that in just a minute. Just want to remind you, as always, you can find out more about the Best Innovation Group by checking out the website, big-fintech.com. It's where all the cool kids are hanging out. And you can always find more content here on the Big Cast. We post new episodes every Tuesday. And we will continue to do so even when John and I will be traveling, as in next week. We want to thank our sponsors at America's Credit Unions. John and I will both be at the GAC, the Government Affairs Conference in Washington, D.C. next week. We'll have a couple of events that we're going to be directly participating in, both on Tuesday morning. I'm going to be moderating a panel on open banking, which should be very interesting. And we're both jointly going to be working on a CEO council looking at the important issues facing credit unions these days. So again, thanks to our friends at America's Credit Union for their sponsorship. Also want to remind you, coming up next Wednesday, February 28th, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific time, and always available via replay if you can't join us live. But as I think you'll discover from the excerpts of this, it's always a good idea to join live and get to be part of the conversation. We'll be having another episode of the CU Digital Town Hall, and I believe we are going to be digging in fairly deeply to the latest around the Capital One Discover merger, which is a story that will continue to evolve over the course of, I'm sure, more than just the next week or month. It's going to be out there for some time. You do need to register in advance for that conversation. There is no cost to attend, but we do require advance registration. Go to cutownhall.com for your opportunity to join. And you'll also find all the past episodes that you can replay if you have not had a chance to join those live. A little bit more on Capital One and Discover. I just put a blog post up on that. I was on the investor call that took place about a week ago. And I've been spending a lot of time thinking about this one, so my thoughts are out there on the big blog. We'll post a link to that one, but if you go to the website, you should be able to find it yourself. I will point out that in addition to the pieces we discussed last week and the items mentioned in the blog, one of the things I discovered this week is this strikes me as a little bit unusual. There is a breakup fee in the agreement if Discover finds a better offer and decides to proceed with a different transaction than the offer that the Capital One has made. There is a breakup fee in the $1.4 billion range, I think. That part is not all that surprising. That's fairly standard practice. However, in the other direction, there is no breakup fee if Capital One decides not to proceed with the transaction, which is particularly interesting in this case because of the relatively significant concern over whether this transaction will pass regulatory scrutiny from an antitrust standpoint. Because I have got to believe that if this transaction does not go through, Discover is going to find themselves in a very challenging situation. Not the kind of, especially if it happens later rather than sooner, let's say. The longer they're kind of out there working on the assumption that they're going to be part of a larger organization and then get cut loose again, that is not a pretty picture. So it's surprising to me that there's not some kind of make whole there. I'm also, again, hearkening back to the Visa Plaid proposed acquisition, which wound up not taking place. The Federal Trade Commission in that case did signal its intent to object to that transaction, but Visa did not continue to pursue it. They said, you know what, this is more trouble than it's worth. We're just going to pass. We'll go away. I'm really wondering, and again, I have not read the documents on this one. If anybody else knows more, I would be more than happy to correct myself or clarify these comments if you let me know. I wonder if there's any obligation on the part of Capital One to take this thing to the mat, as they say, in terms of trying to make sure that it does actually go through as a transaction. As we said last week, or in the actually no, I don't think I mentioned this in last week's episode, but I did mention it in the blog. Raj Date, who is a former number 2 at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, was on an interview on NPR not too long ago talking about this. I thought he was extremely level-headed about it. He basically referred to it as a coin toss as to whether or not this will be approved. If you look at Discover's stock price, it definitely indicates that the market has some question whether this is actually going to happen, because the stock price is not as close to the price that Capital One offered that you might expect. Now, knowing it's kind of the bird in the hand syndrome, you wouldn't expect it to be exactly at the price that Capital One offered, because that price is not going to be available to you until the end of the year at the earliest, maybe even early next year. But so you'd expect some discount, but there's more of a discount there. The stock went up, but there's more of a discount there than you might think if people thought it was, an absolute certainty it was going through. So again, lots more to come on that one. Check out the blog if you get a chance. I think you'll find it interesting. I've seen some other things. It took, a little bit of time for people to digest it. I've seen some other good analysis coming out on that over the last couple of days as well. Now on to our main attraction. In November of last year, November 2023, it was only a couple months ago at this point, we celebrated the 10th anniversary of the Best Innovation Group. And as part of that, we had this special edition of the CU Digital Town Hall, where we look back at some of the trends of the past 10 years and some of the other interesting things that have gone on. The other voice you're going to hear prominently featured in this is Mike Lawson of CU Broadcast, the co-host of the Digital Town Hall. And before I give anything else away, I'll let you just kind of listen to the rest. This, again, as I've said, are excerpts from our town hall from November. I'll let you kind of evaluate the rest yourself.
So, let's talk about the most exciting thing to happen to humanity since the discovery of fire. AI, or as the nerds call it, GPT. Have you heard about the crazy stuff this tech can do, Elliot?
Yeah, I was just looking at something the other day.
You know why? Because you are not dead. You haven't been living under a rock. Elliot, do you want to know a secret? This video is real.
You can hear me.
It's from a site called HeyGen. I made this video by uploading less than 2 minutes of test video. I believe it has captured the essence of my soul. Are you interested in why I believe it has stolen my soul, Elliot? Look,
Bring it on.
Of my AI avatar. Shall I be Can you feel it? It's alive. Just kidding, everyone. The AI didn't steal my soul, or at least not all of it. Anyway, let's get on with the show.
So, I discovered that about an hour ago.
Oh, an hour ago.
And it's my new favorite thing. Just in case you wanted to see the guts of it here.
Please.
So, here's what I uploaded to get it to go. I just uploaded this, which is just me talking.
Hey, John Best. Your instant avatar is ready. Feel free to create videos with it. Also, click the feedback button to share what you think. Hope you enjoy.
Is that not crazy?
Creepy. Crazy creepy.
Spooky.
I've made a few other ones that I thought were fun. Aliens is a good one, but if you remember the voice cloning I tried to do earlier this year,
Yeah.
And now not only can it do the voice cloning, but the video. So, Mike, how long did you knew something was up when it talked over Elliot, right?
Something was amiss. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
However, if it were that, and we all know GPT can respond and likely respond as me. So how far are we from having a talking head that looks like me and can respond, as when Elliot said start talking, but actually respond to him?
How far?
Yeah, I would say less than 6 to 9 months.
Yep.
Given the fact that you couldn't do what I just did, as far as I know, not without a lot of work, until well, just now it's a brand new tool. It's crazy what's going
Look at
on.
some of the companies that are affiliate: Salesforce, KPMG, Accenture, Volvo. Oh gosh, these are some pretty heavy hitting company. Amazon.
Yes, they are, Mike. Would you like to know more?
Have you seen the company that has an AI influencer that is doing ads for them and is making like $15,000 a day or something like that? And it's got
The AI is
celebrities
making 15,000, or the company?
Well, the company that created the AI is making that money, but technically they're farming the AI out at that rate per hour or per day. And it's so realistic. There's actually it's getting direct messages from like celebrities hitting on it.
Well, I'll tell you you want to know how I improved mine? You may not have noticed it. Elliot might have noticed it. Elliot, did you notice the ominous tone?
Yeah.
That was added to the video.
Mm-hmm.
Hey Jen didn't do that, so I think I can take credit for that. Just saying.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey,
So
guess what, everybody?
It's customizable as well.
Oh yeah, you could use other avatars. I mean, I could probably do the whole show just on this thing. Then Mike's like looking at it right now going, and Mike takes 2024 off. No one ever sees Mike again. The real Mike stays this age for the rest of his life.
I was just in an interview this morning where I said if I could have ChatGPT or some sort of AI clone me so I can go to more conferences, that would be a wonderful thing. So I think we're onto something here, John.
Well, here is
or you're onto something.
One I did for yesterday or earlier when I was testing it.
Breaking news, right? In a stunning turn of events, researchers have announced the confirmed existence of Bigfoot. This remarkable discovery challenges our understanding of the natural world and promises to ignite a wave of scientific curiosity and exploration. More details to come on this sensational development.
I like that it says Big Goot. So that's
Big
what we
Goot.
call Tom now. That's Tom Stacy. So our TTO. So we had a lot of fun with it. Anyways, I thought we'd do a little timeline. So we started big in October of 2013. That was our official first thing that we did. We launched the Big Cast in 2014. Care to guess how many episodes of the Big Cast we have?
Wow, that's a tough one. Well over 100, I would think. 200?
I think it's going to about 600 at this point.
What? Oh my gosh, John, well done.
Way behind you, because I think you've got like 3,000 or 4,000 videos, don't you?
Oh, 7,000.
7,000 videos, of which
it's nuts.
Yeah, and growing. So. Yeah. And then in 2015, as was our plan, we started the Innovation Club. For those of you that don't know what that is, actually, you know who could do that? Maybe. Hey, Randy, do you mind sharing what your experience has been for the Innovation Club?
Sure, put me on the spot. No, it's been. I honestly didn't know it'd been around for that long. Thanks for waiting so long to invite me.
Oh man,
I'm just kidding. But it's been great. No, it's neat to get a chance to play with some of this stuff in the early stages.
Well, and I love that input that you give, and people like Willis Chang and the others, all the feedback and all the ideas and how we come together around it. That's probably one of my most favorite things. So people like Kevin Wright,
collaboration.
Yeah, it really fosters a lot of collaboration. Then we created 5, which is our financial interactive voice interface, experience, which is interesting because that's going to grow. I don't know if you've seen, but so a lot of people have stopped using Siri. The other day, I asked Siri to play something. I asked it to play a song, and it came back and it said, now playing whatever it was, Live, remastered 2019. And I was like, Live? Oh, you mean live? And I was thinking how stupid Siri seems right now compared to ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are flipping over the new ChatGPT app, which, by the way, you can't sign up for right now because they've run out of power. And that's cuckoo crazy.
That is crazy.
Think about it. If this was a movie,
they've run out of power.
Said somebody built a product and they've used up every data center they could find to get enough power for the people that want to use it, and they've run out. We would call that like a virus, right? That's nuts. So they've literally run out of power. And that's why you can't get a subscription right now, because if you notice, it's gotten slower. We did our AXFI conference. We're talking about bringing that back. Anybody here?
Awesome, John. Love those.
They were super fun, and we're going to try to get those going again.
Okay, so, that's a good move.
Yeah, we're going to try to do that next year. But I have a different idea, something even more different. So
okay,
we're going to do that. We had a bunch of those conferences. I wrote a book, which, you know, hey, Mrs. Barnes, that's what I say to you, English teacher. I wrote a book. That lady, she definitely was not a fan of mine and did not think I could write anything. Well, she didn't know that you get people to help you write stuff. Any idiot could write something. So haha to her.
Yeah.
No more of that. And then another AXFI conference, and then in 2020 during the pandemic, we started this town hall. Along the way, we got some awards, Finance Voice Developer of the Year, some project voice banking for what we did for the voice stuff with Alexa and with Google. So very excited, and just thank you for everybody for taking the ride with us. And so I'll come back to what we got here.
I like Julie's question, John. She said, I'm curious about technology topics we were talking about 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I like the predictions. So, but what were we talking about 10 years ago?
Well, we were really pushing on crypto. Like, that was something that was keeping people up at night. Was Bitcoin have just become something real? Remember, in 2014, Bitcoin was less than, I think, $500, maybe less than that. When we did this, it wasn't till 2016 that it hit its first 10,000 or so. So crypto was something that was interesting, I think, to a lot of folks. AI was not really on the list.
It was being talked
Alexa
about.
Was about to come out in 2015, and really Alexa
right.
was everybody's sort of introduction to that. But that was definitely some tech that folks were talking about. It was a lot of folks really still trying to clear out their mobile and build their infrastructure. But the big thing that we were all talking about was data analytics. And that was really where a lot of effort went into for us in the beginning.
Was that big data at the time?
Yeah, it was really big data. That was what it was called.
But buzzword.
It really was identified as a foundational technology for the future, and it still holds, you know. You know, one of the things that, and I'll tell you a little story here, Mike. This is my story of AI. You want to hear my story of it? You want to hear how to make $1 billion?
Please.
Okay, so here's the deal. Elliot Cotto and I and our third partner, Ed, who's not here, and our fourth is Tom, but he wasn't here around that time. It's 1994, and we are having a meeting at a place called the Dogwater. The Dogwater is an awesome restaurant, or was in Tampa, where they serve you your food in dog dishes. Felt appropriate. And so anyways, we were talking that we didn't want to work for the man anymore. So Elliot and Ed said, hey, why don't we start a PC building company? Because you remember back then in 1994, it wasn't like there were Compacts and Dells and Gateways.
Gateway.
Yeah, those were things that really went to big companies. If you wanted a home PC, you would either go IBM or you would build one out of parts, or you'd find a nerd to build one, or a local computer store would build one. And they thought that we could compete with that. And I said, hey, you know, I think I know something that's going to be big. And I had just started working in the school system, and I got all into their network, and I got a call from them, and they said, hey, who are you? And I said, I'm a guy that was just poking around your Florida Educational Resources Network, because it was a VAX, and I knew VAXes because of my dad. And they said, can you stop doing that? Because that's crazy. We noticed you're kind of everywhere. But then they called me in and said, hey, can you help us set this up? And what it was is the beginnings of the internet. So FEARN, F-E-A-R-N, was one of the original backbones of the DARPA net that was connecting all the universities that became the internet. And so I had this experience of seeing these websites that were coming up in the DARPA area. And so I said, why don't we look into this web thing? I think I remember I told them, I think every company is going to have a website. And Elliot and Ed, to their credit, said, you know, you're probably right. And then Elliot scheduled a meeting with his father. His father was an insurance salesman, Marine, Eagle Scout. His father's done amazing things. Elliot Cotto Sr. is amazing. So he sits down and I say to him, yeah, Vax and punch cards, baby. That's right. My first job description was to organize the punch cards, even though we didn't have any. So a couple of days I would just sit there and go, I'm not working until someone brings me a punch card. But anyway, so we sit down with him and I do my pitch and I tell him, here's my big pitch. Not only is McDonald's going to have a website, the corporate website, but every McDonald's restaurant will have a website. And he looked at me and went, I think you're crazy. And he wrote a check to us for 10 grand to a bunch of 23-year-olds, one of which was his son. And we started a little company, but we weren't smart enough to go all in on it. And that company still exists. Actually, Elliot still owns it. So here's where we are today. And my correlation is this. I think that this big idea of creating giant AI is not going to work. Here's the way I see it working. We're going to have a general AI. And so let's imagine that you're shopping for a drill. Okay. You go and you say, hey, I'm looking for a drill. And the general AI goes, gotcha. Let me hook you up. And it refers you to another AI that is a hardware specialist. It knows it's like an ace, like a Home Depot employee, right? Knows everything about drills. And he goes, hey, well, what are you trying to do? What do you think your use case is? Well, I'm trying to drill through concrete. That's what I primarily want it for. There's a lot of ATMs I've seen, and I can't drill into them anymore. They seem to be, really fortifying those. And I really want to get in them. That's kind of what I do. I'm going to need something that can drill through about this thickness of metal. And he goes, oh, well, the brands that really could do that would be Milwaukee, DeWalt, and possibly Ryobi, or whatever.
Black & Decker.
Black & Decker, right. And I go, okay, well, I know DeWalt. I already have some DeWalt stuff. And it goes, well, let me go get you some information on DeWalt drills. Now, where do you think that's going to go, Mike? What person should have an AI all about all their products? Available for anything to go and talk to? The company of DeWalt, right? So DeWalt is going to need it's like their website, except for way, way better. It's good. They're going to have like an AI that is a sales AI or
it's like a concierge. Every company's going to have a concierge.
AI. It's a products AI, and it knows every damn thing. And so they switch over to it, and it goes, well, you're trying to drill through it. I go, look at this ATM. I got a piece of it here. It's really thick. And it goes, oh, well, you're going to need our bits. You're going to need this. And, oh, by the way, I see you look old. You want something that's got easier trigger pressure and you don't have to push so hard? Yeah, that would be great. And it's going to know everything. So this idea that all of us, whether we be banking systems or whatever, have these AIs that know everything about our products and services, because it's just like what it's calling it. Yeah. And I also need a lot of duct tape and rope. That's from Randy. But the idea is that I think every company, including credit unions, is going to have a forward-facing AI, just like a website. But a website's problem is there's no structure to it, and it's too. You got to know where things are to go find. If you want to build something that knows all about drills, and you got to go on the DeWalt site, and you got to go on the Milwaukee site, and you got to go on the Black & Decker site, it's all unstructured. It's all over the place. But if you could talk directly to an AI, it's like taking that search and instead of making it levels, it's making it one call. So that's what I think happens. Because who needs it? We don't need a master AI. I don't need an AI that can pass the bar and the medical test. I mean, that's an expensive AI. I would like one, that helps with coding, and I have one. I'm thankful for that, but it doesn't need to know anything about medical. I don't plan on asking any of my developers, anything about healthcare. So I think that we're going to see these more specialized things. So that's my 2 cents, Mike.
AI is going to get more nichey, it sounds like.
If I can interject, the real benefit in healthcare and AI is going to be not training their models on the actual medical, but feeding it all of the historical data to look for pattern matching.
Right.
There's already been some AI breakthroughs in cancer, and it wasn't because they trained it about cancer. It was because they trained it on the patterns of cancer movement and cellular growth and whatnot. and the AI found a way to disrupt the growth pattern. So that how you use AI, whether it's AI or whether it's healthcare or credit unions or anything else, is being carefully considering what you're going to show the AI to have it hone in on what's important first.
I tell you what's important to me is your Galaga and your Mandalorian Lego helmet. Both of those are super important and very cool.
Oh yeah, my son just knocked off the high score. So
oh man. Yeah. Well, you know why? Because you got to get doubles. If you can get the doubles, that's how you do it.
He never dropped a quarter on the thing, so I'm a little upset.
Yeah, that's not good. Well, I know I completely agree with you. I think that's the problem with modern, and it's funny. So I'll go back to what the fellow was saying from OpenAI's board in his TED Talk, and he says we're going to look back at this era of medical like it's 1700s dentistry, with leather whips and bite down on this and leeches and those sorts of things. And
what kind of dentist are you going to, John?
Well, I mean, I had
leather whips and leeches.
I grew up in the military, so
okay.
Yeah, I'll drop that link. I'll go find that link in the TED Talk. Cool. But
I think that's probably a pretty good place to leave it with the leather whips and leeches. You can follow up if you are so intrigued. As I said, the full video and the full hour-long episode is available at the CU Digital Town Hall website, which I'll post a link to as well. Other things that were talked about that I think are particularly important in this episode, it was a replay of the Day in a Digital Life podcast that John recorded all the way back in 2015. Kind of looking forward to what we thought that a digital day would look like by, at that point, 2025. We're almost there. So it's kind of good to take assessment of exactly how close we were on that. And then something else that we talked about since then on the podcast as well. Have I been trained? And the whole idea that AI only works as well as the data with which it is trained on and has been submitted for it to digest in its large language models, and the proprietary issues around exactly what data is being used for those purposes. And John gets into that a bit. And you can see it all, again, both words and music, words and video on that. And you'll find, especially with that deepfake that he started off with, you'll see the video and you'll see the lip sync is pretty impressive as well. It's not just his voice. And, I could tell, not in terms of the voice, but in terms of some of the timing of what was being said. But bear in mind, that was done with software that John had found literally just an hour earlier before this. So if it was able to sound that convincing in an hour's time, think about somebody who spends a little bit more time on the editing process. Think about how quickly it's evolving and how much better it's going to be in another 2, 3, 4 months. It's pretty amazing stuff. With that, another episode of the Big Cast in the books. As I said, we hope to see you at the Government Affairs Conference next week in Washington, D.C. That'll be starting up on Sunday, March 3rd, and running through, depending on exactly how you decide to GAC yourself. The actual conference floor, I believe, the exhibit hall closes on Tuesday. There's still content sessions running through midday Wednesday, but part of the whole process that's pretty important is the whole exercise of hiking the hill and showing a show of numbers and force of credit union advocates to the elected officials that are showing up as the constituents, so showing that this is important. If you're going out that way, again, we'd love to hear from you. Drop us a note and track us down either via LinkedIn or X or however you want to try to find us, or via the Best Innovation Group website, big-fintech.com. Drop us a note. And despite the fact that we'll be out at GAC, we'll have a new episode for you that we're working on right now, and hopefully you'll consider that travel listening for your journeys to and from Washington, D.C. for GAC. You can always find out more about the Best Innovation Group, as I said, by going to big-fintech.com. My name is Glenn Sarvati. You can track me down via my firm, 154 Advisors. These days, the best way is probably on LinkedIn, but you can always find me again at the Best Innovation Group website. John Best is out there as well, also on Twitter at JBFinTech. You'll find the Best Innovation Group at Big FinTech. With that, hope you check us out again next week. Subscribe or like if you are so inclined. And as always, thanks for listening.
Check back each week for the latest from the Big Cast. Or better yet, we hope you'll consider subscribing for free via Spotify, Stitcher, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you have questions or comments, we'd love to hear from you. Tweet us at Big FinTech, email info@big-fintech.com, or visit us at big-fintech.com and click on the Media tab, where you can post a comment or check out our archive of hundreds of past episodes. See you next week.